Hello. Well, I wanted to make a more serious video, so I'm here at about 1:30 in the morning to talk to you about fibromyalgia and M.E. and what it's like to live with them. I contracted these illnesses about 12 or 13 years ago, and they dramatically changed my life. I don't know exactly how I contracted them. They don't really understand how that works necessarily. All I know is I was on a trip to England, and I was fine. Might have had a little bit of a flu. I got on a plane to come back home, perfectly fine, and 12 hours later, they had to take me off the flight in a wheelchair, and when I got home I collapsed in bed and I couldn't get up again for several months. I thought I was dying from something like cancer or AIDS or something horrible, and I had tests done for every single thing you could possibly imagine, except for Lyme disease, which is another whole little tempest in a teapot that I'm not going to go into. But I was tested for everything, and after a year passed, and a couple people had suggested that I might have fibromyalgia, I actually ran across a book about it and started to read, and it lists off about 40 symptoms that are common to people with fibromyalgia. Well, I had, out of the 48 symptoms or whatever it was, I had like 42. So I thought, okay, well, this sounds like it's a possibility. Brought it to my physician, who'd never heard of the illness, but fortunately she was very open-minded. She looked it up and found a test that could be done. Not a blood test, it's a tender point test, which is where they press on certain parts of your body and see if there's a tenderness or pain when they press on these bits. So she did the tender point test on me, and I had enough tender points to be diagnosed with fibromyalgia, along with other symptoms and things like that. So they really didn't know how to treat it or anything, so I kind of just went along, not really knowing what to do about it or anything for a while. I was prescribed medication for the pain, and that was, good. But it's sort of been that way ever since. I discovered much later that I probably have M.E. as well, which is myalgic encephalomyelitis, known in the United States as chronic fatigue syndrome, which is a really stupid name for it, which is why I don't use it. So you often have both syndromes together, fibromyalgia and chronic fatigue, so I figured I was one of those people that had both of them together, and I still think that I am. So basically, every morning when I wake up, I have no idea how I'm going to feel that day, but the first thing I feel is this complete, all-consuming pain, which feels like you were hit by a truck in the middle of the night and just got left there by the side of the road until somebody came along and picked you up. That's the typical feeling, and there's no stamina no question of exercise or strengthening or building up stamina or anything like that. You just, really can't. It's impossible for several reasons. My boyfriend could tell you much better than I can a lot of the scientific part of these illnesses, but all I wanted to talk about was how it's changed my life and made me feel. So I was just going to go into that. I'm not very good with the technical stuff. So, as I guess often happens with people whose lives change this much because of an illness, I lost some friends and I gained some other friends, for various reasons. It wasn't always, because somebody just couldn't handle that I had an illness. I think, some of the time I push people away, and sometimes the relationship was based on something that it can no longer be based on, like clubbing, for example, because I don't really do that anymore. So if that was the basis for the relationship, there might not have been anywhere else for it to go. In any case, I've had to adjust to live life kind of on the edge in a weird sort of way. I kind of have to do things in a sense spontaneously. I can't make long-range plans and be certain that I can make them, and people just have had to learn to accept that about me. My medications have done some damage as well. I've had a great deal of tooth decay because of the dry mouth that the medication gives you. I've had other problems with, keeping my saliva going, keeping my mouth lubricated, which causes, difficulties as well. And that might sound really gross, but it's, a fact of life. My makeup doesn't stay on the same way because of being ill. I can't dance, and I loved dancing. There's just so many things that have changed. I was studying the harp, and I found that the harp was too heavy to play against my shoulder. It just was too painful. So I had to put that aside for about 5 years. And my ability to make these elaborate costumes that I've been making for years really fell off hugely, and I can, maybe do 1 or 2 per year instead of, 1 or 2 every few months. I can no longer have a regular job. Things are just too unpredictable for that. I never know if I'm going to be able to get up in the morning or not. And part of it's due to the pain, and part of it's due to the fatigue. I can't describe to you this fatigue. It's unlike anything you could possibly imagine, except maybe it's like the flu. The whole illness is sort of like having the flu and food poisoning between, the various symptoms or whatever. You never know how your stomach is going to react to things. I had to radically change some stuff in order to get my stomach to kind of cooperate with me, particularly with the medication I'm taking and stuff like that. So I have finally gotten that mostly under control, but really difficult. My sleep schedule has been completely messed up. I don't sleep at night hardly at all. I take naps in the daytime. And like, for example, I have a appointment tomorrow to get together with a friend before they leave for Boston, and I'm not sure I'm going to be able to do it, you know? I mean, it's already almost 2 o'clock in the morning, and I'm not tired. I mean, I'm tired, but not, I still feel kind of hyper. So, life changes, and one thing that kind of bothers me is that when you're ill, you're supposed to be stoic and fight it, you know. With this illness, you don't have the energy to fight anything. And as far as being stoic or strong or whatever, and, you know, because that is the behavior that's rewarded, why? You know, why is that rewarded? I mean, why aren't we allowed to feel what you're going to feel when your whole life gets turned upside down, you know? I don't want to be some kind of hero because I've managed to go through my illness without showing anybody the intense emotions that go along with it, you know? That's not such a great example to other people, telling them that they can't have feelings about what's going on with them, you know? So I think that it's more important to allow people to have their feelings, you know? You're gonna feel down, you're gonna feel angry, you're gonna feel betrayed by the world and forsaken and all that kind of stuff. And why not, you know? You have the right. I'm not Superman, you know? And I'm gonna have my down days. I'm so mad at some celebrities who have illnesses who, you know, only show us the good side of how they cope with their stuff, you know. It's just not fair, because there are bad days and we should be entitled to have them, you know. So everything has changed. Everything. The way that I do everything has had to change. And that's really hard, you know. So I just wanted to talk a little bit about that and bring it to your attention. I'm gonna still be here for a while now. I'm not going anywhere. I'm not dying. But I do have this illness, and I am in a wheelchair, and I am going to be around. And you might run into me. And I might not be what you expect of somebody in a wheelchair. Well, that's good. You know, why should I be what you expect? Why can't I be pretty and wear makeup and nice clothes and be in a wheelchair? Or be a goth and be in a wheelchair? You know? Why would I stop expressing myself through the way that I look just because I'm sick? You know, there's no reason for that. It doesn't mean that I'm doing better if I'm wearing makeup that day. It might mean that I'm doing worse and that I'm trying to overcompensate. You don't really know. So that's another thing. People always want you to be better. So, you know, they're constantly trying to push you in that direction, even if you feel like crap. So, you know, don't say things like, oh, but you sound so good. Well, it's not the way that I sound that's the problem. Or, oh, but you look so good. Well, that's not the problem either. the problem isn't how I look or how I sound. The problem is how I feel, and that is that. You know, you can't change reality just by saying, "But you look good," or "But you sound good." You know, people are so hopeful that suddenly everything's going to be okay. They just can't stand the thought that everything's not okay. It's okay for things not to be okay sometimes, you know? I'm kind of mad at Christopher Reeve because he was so stoic and so heroic and everything, and, you know, he really was Superman. But come on, are you telling me that he never felt hopeless or pissed off or anything during that whole illness, that whole paralysis and everything? Come on. I mean, give us the benefit of seeing how you really feel sometimes, you know, or the bad parts too. You know, because you do a disservice to people when you are so stoic and you make people feel guilty for being angry that they have an illness. It's okay to be angry. Things have changed. Your life isn't as good. You have a right to be angry with that, you know? So I just want to be allowed to feel the way that I feel, to look the way that I look, and to deal with things the way that I need to deal with them. I don't want to be pushed into fighting something that it's impossible to fight, and I don't want people to think, you know, oh, she's given up or something just because I'm having a bad day. You know, you have bad days, and that's just the way that it is. So this is, I guess, the end of my rant. I just wanted to say that if you have a hidden or not so hidden disability, you're not alone, and it's okay to feel the way that you feel. So if you have a response to this vlog, please do a vlog and put it down below in the comments, or if you have a comment, please leave your comments down below. I'd really appreciate hearing what people think about this. And you know, can you be Gothic and be in a wheelchair? Damn right you can. You know, why not? I want to hear how you feel about that, and I want to hear how you feel about the rest of what I said, and I'll respond, you know, but I want to hear about it. So please leave your comments and your video responses. Please subscribe and like the video. I'd really appreciate that. Thank you so much for your time.